Hey, good morning from Napa. I'm broadcasting live from Napa. This is Jim Lundy. This is Aragon Live on February 26th, 2025. With me is Betsy Burton, Ken Delaney, and Adam Pease. And we are here to talk about tech. And we got some big stories. There's two big ones. One is Anthropic and Claude 3.7 Sonnet. Adam, over to you.
Yeah, so this is Anthropic's new big AI release coming on the heels of Claude 3.5, and I think a lot of people have seen Anthropic as basically the main leader as far as large language model quality goes for a while. I think they've been kind of neck and neck with OpenAI, but a lot of the power users of LLMs, I think they tend to prefer Claude, especially for coding and especially for agentic coding powered by some of these new tools like Cursor, which people are using to do basically using an agent to autonomously compose and interpret an entire code base and getting, a lot closer towards real agency. And so Claude has been a top choice for that. And 3.7 is definitely a major upgrade to the model from what people can tell, and especially focused on reasoning capabilities. It has like an extended thinking mode, which kind of parallels the inference time thinking, reasoning based AI compute styles that OpenAI has been moving towards with its releases like O1 and O3. And so it basically represents Anthropic taking a stab at kind of this new race to offer really competent math and reasoning and coding skills and capabilities. And it also represents kind of this paradigm of doing reasoning tokens and doing more compute at inference, allowing the model to think for longer. That this paradigm is kind of succeeding as I think the main push in terms of increasing capabilities right now. And so that's where we'll start, I think.
Yeah, I would just say that it's gotten a lot of great exposure, and I would say there's an awful lot of interest in alternatives to OpenAI and Google and Microsoft, and Anthropic is right there, right there. Ken, Amazon throwing down on
the announcement's going on right now. But what we do know for sure is that there's an Alexa Plus. It's really going to incorporate AI, which makes sense. The other thing that's really important here is they're going to start charging for the most advanced things. I mean, Amazon, basically had a big restructuring of their Alexa program, a few months back because they realized they weren't making any money off of it. They're building all these devices and they thought they were going to make lots of money, but they weren't making anything. So now they're going to charge for this more advanced service. And what the service really is that it's really like the operator technology we talked about a few weeks ago, where you'll be able to ask a question, it'll take a number of steps for you to make all these things happen. So you'll be able to, much like you can in Star Trek, when the Star Trek characters talk to the computer and have it do things, you can talk in natural language, much as though you would, anything you'd ask, order me some Chinese food or do this or whatever, and it'll put it all together rather than the first version, which was really had you do more structured queries, etc. There'll probably be a new Alexa device, but don't expect a wide variety of devices, door locks and other things to occur right initially. I think this is really about kind of a business direction change for Alexa, and we'll see how it does. I mean, it's kind of faded, and remember that Apple is working on something in this area too. So we could see a flurry of announcements and these smart assistants coming up over the next couple of months.
By the way, just since I know, Ken, you kind of track some of this stuff, Apple Home is what you're kind of alluding to, it also the Google Home and Alexa, kind of like they're all competing for kind of like the home IoT. I don't know what you'd call it, but I think there's going to be more stuff coming.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll keep track of that. And Betsy, talk about IBM.
Yeah, IBM has announced a plan to potentially acquire DataStax. DataStax is a non-SQL-based database that's kind of semi-vector. It's not exactly completely vector, but it's worth some vector capabilities. And it's probably valuation of about $1.6 billion. So it's a significant acquisition if it ends up going through. It's just it's a way for IBM to further get into and enhance what they've got on their AI offerings, since all of their roots are primarily have been traditionally always relational databases. So this is a way for them to expand into more the AI based databases that are available to them. It's kind of interesting to me that we haven't heard a lot from IBM in this category for a while. So this is kind of the first time we've heard any movement from them. So on there, so I don't think this is going to put them necessarily on the the map as much as they would hope it to, but I think it's a good enhancement for them. I do think that this is a beginning or a continuation of acquisition of vector style databases. It's going to happen. I think a lot of these small vector databases are going to get acquired and folded into other ones. So it's a market consolidation that we've actually predicted a while ago. Ken,
yeah, it is interesting. It is interesting that IBM is making this move.
Right.
Yeah, why is it interesting to you, Jim?
Well, I mean, let's put it this way: they basically, they've got Linux, they've got Red Hat, but why would they want to own vector database? That's really
Well,
Yeah.
because of their consulting business, they need to go with all the elements to be able to build the solutions that their customers want, and this just gives them another tool in the toolbox, so to speak.
It does.
Yeah,
It does.
it does. It's just a big departure from where they've been in the past for databases. I mean,
Yeah. Ken?
that's why I thought it was weird.
Yeah. So let's move on to talk about Huawei's launch of this trifold phone. So let me start off the discussion by saying $3,600, right? That's probably going to dissuade a number of people from buying it. It is a really leap in mechanical design. 3 different panels, OLED panels. Of course, OLED is flexible and can be folded. Great hinge design, really leather back. You can take a look at it on the web. They beat Samsung, who was clearly working on this kind of thing, to the punch here. But probably this is good for vertical markets where you need to have a phone and a large screen device in a very compact form factor. But I think this is really for the well-endowed, monetarily set to be able to show their friends. I'm not sure this is going to be a mainstream device until the price comes down to at least $1,000, which it's got to come down by a third. So good statement, but we've tried a lot of different form factors, but most of the market goes for the classic iPhone single panel design. I think that's probably going to still dominate the market, but it's a technical achievement. Jim, over to you.
All right, so there's a couple stories going on out there relative to all the stuff we've been talking about for all this increased investment in data centers for AI. Microsoft is pausing some early technical due diligence on pending leases, and there's at least one lease that they paused, which I think is in Wisconsin. They've got a commitment of $80 billion investment for this year. By the way, a couple weeks ago, we did talk about Oracle doubling down to get commitments for up to $500 billion over several years for data centers, specifically for OpenAI, because OpenAI has been complaining that they don't have enough capacity with Microsoft. So is that because of DeepSeek? Because maybe they don't need as much compute power? I think that, let's put it this way, we'll have to wait and see how this shakes out. It's just one data point. I don't think it's really going to slow things down that much. It may be the kind of data center it was. Any other comments from the team?
Well, we could be seeing something that often happens in semiconductors where, we build a breakthrough fab, but then, a couple of years it becomes old, and it's better just to get rid of that fab and move on to the next one. So we may be seeing some technical evolution cycles occurring. Maybe we're moving where the power is, right? Maybe Wisconsin, in this case, didn't have enough power to support expansion of this data center. We also have a battle between, when DeepSeek was introduced, whether we've talked about its what was really behind it. But there was a thread there that's important to look at, and that's the efficiency of AI is increasing at the same time as expansiveness is increasing. So we're fighting, do we build more data centers, or do we make the current data centers more efficient through better algorithms, et cetera? So that's kind of a ongoing battle that'll dictate the investments that people want to make.
As I listen to you, Ken, I wonder if there's a new opportunity for a new Moore's Law.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Right? I mean, is there an equation that says, the chips are getting efficient enough, AI is getting efficient enough? I mean, is there a new Moore's Law we need to think about?
Yeah. The question would be, I'm not sure we technically have enough to think about what the slope of that is. We probably see some deep engineers to be able to do that for us, but there might be something there.
But the difference is Moore's Law was really about primarily the hardware and the capability of the hardware. What we're saying here is that the software may actually be getting more efficient, that it'll change that equation.
Have the algorithms. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Sounds good.
All right. So while this is in the middle of the stack, this is probably one of the biggest news items, which is the Microsoft Majorana chip, which is a new quantum chip that kind of changes the architecture. And they did partner with a couple companies on it, but the form factor, the design, I think puts some of the quantum design on its head. It's a very positive development, and I think it put the rest of the industry on notice. But Ken, you're kind of a chip guy. What's your take on this?
Did they say they think they could get up to 1 million qubits, right?
Yeah.
That's
So,
like way beyond what we've been told for quite some time.
I mean, there's very interesting designs that they did to build this, like atom by atom. So there's some sophisticated stuff. It's a cool looking chip. It's not like some of the other ones where you've got these, basically it looks like a set of glass, where, and then the chips in the very middle.
Yeah.
So I would just say this, it's early, but quantum is coming, and I think this new design is going to be probably copied by many others.
It just shows that, this Majorana effect was some Italian guy figured this out a while back, and somebody at Microsoft, I guess, jumped on this thing and figured out scientifically how it could be used to do, deal with the error rate that occur. That's the big problem in quantum. And so, we'll see what's going to happen. It's, we between AI and quantum, we're getting into areas of technical development that only a few people in the world really understand. So,
well, yeah. So
Focused in data centers, Jim? I mean, it will this is not something that many corporations, besides maybe the government, are going to own.
I would just say this, because first of all, the thing is, it's very compact, and it's as Ken said, it's less error prone. It's more stable of an architecture. So, right now, again, we've covered a quantum for a few years here at Aragon, and one of the big things is the operating system and the applications. One of the comments that we've made is that quantum will actually teach AI about nature, because one of the things you can do is you can figure out physics and stuff like that. And that's why you're starting to use quantum for modeling, physical modeling. So again, you have to have huge compute power to figure out like how planets evolved over millions of years. So I would just say that quantum with AI becomes, well, beyond interesting, I would say.
Yeah.
So we'll keep tracking this. It is a major development, and it'll be interesting to see how all the other quantum companies, because there's a bunch in where Adam lives in Berkeley. There's a cool quantum company or two. IBM's doing it. Google has just announced some quantum stuff. So, and then we'll see what our friends over in Asia do. Let's go on. Kind of like a non-story, but Gmail, two-factor SMS for authentications become compromised. So they're going to be using both, basically QR codes and, their authentication app. We use Gmail here at Aragon. I actually have a biometric key because they were targeting me. And since I started using that 5 years ago, no one's ever tried to hack me. Because
Yes, what's going to happen is the QR code is going to come up on the screen, and you have to take a picture with your phone, right?
yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Most of the time, it'll say, "Hey, check your other device," because it knows what devices you're logged in on. So that sometimes it does that, but on my main computer, it's always basically wanting you to verify with biometrics. So I think this is a good move. I think other people need to do this because SMS has been compromised. And yeah. All right. So this story is one that we talked about a lot in the pregame. So Apple is claiming 500 billion and 20,000 jobs, but as Betsy pointed out in the Wall Street Journal, it's maybe not that much. It might be a net of 260 to 200 billion because they made some claims all the way back to 2021. So that's one of the things in truth in lending for all these companies that are throwing out these numbers, whether it's for tariff reduction or just marketing hype. We just talked about Microsoft canceling some leases when a couple of weeks ago they said they're going to spend $80 billion. So we'll have to see where Apple is, but comments from the team on this Apple news?
And I think one of the things we need to keep in mind for any of these announcements is there's no impact if they don't do it. It's, like Ken, you were talking before we jumped on the call, I plan on selling my house for $3 billion. Well, maybe, possibly, but, so, it'll be interesting. We need to track these investments.
Yeah, we're in the age of overpromise and underdeliver, right?
Yeah, right. I was going to say speaking of which, but I'm not going to say speaking of which, because this is actually an interesting announcement. SAP has unveiled its business data cloud. I think this is an important one for SAP because it's SAP really moving into the cloud. They've been a little slow and a little behind some of the other vendors that are doing work in this area. They have to do this to effectively compete against Oracle, who's gone into the cloud in a major big way. So this is investment that they're doing into the data cloud, which is a good move for SAP. I have to say, I feel like we haven't heard that much again from SAP for a while. So it's good to see them do some movement. It feels like they've been sort of plugging along. I have not seen any significant announcements from them in terms of AI. Has anyone else?
I agree, Betsy. And this is sort of says something about Europe. They're harping about all this AI stuff, but they've been really kind of in the background in terms of the announcements for the products across the European spectrum. And, it's typical for them. In software, they're often slower than the rest of the world.
Well, look, a couple things. One, SAP does allow, you can run SAP ERP in other clouds.
Mm-hmm.
So you can run it in different, cloud architectures. I think Azure, I think Oracle. But I think to Betsy's point, this is one of the first times that they're talking a business cloud. So
I think another thing that there's two interesting things about SAP that I know from past experience, which is number one, SAP is all back office. So it's not like it's really front office having to do with customers all that much. So that's one thing that I think is important. But another thing is, despite the cost, a lot of organizations who have SAP have done extensive customization. In fact, it's a way that SAP made a ton of consulting money. So it's possible that for SAP, trying to move it over into a cloud environment or add AI capabilities, the ability to add features and capabilities onto it may be harder because the degree of customization that their customers have done, it makes it much more difficult. So they're just in a very different position than Oracle or even Salesforce. Jim, Ring Central.
all right, so I'm actually up here at the Ring Central analyst event, but last week they announced their new AI receptionist for their cloud UCC platform. Ring, basically it's Ring Central EX. It is an AI receptionist that can talk to you when you call in. So a lot of vendors have focused on their AI assistant for contact center agents. This is basically a greeter that will talk to you. It can be configured to answer questions about your business. There's many startups and established businesses that had done phone scheduling as add-ons to a phone system where it could talk to you and schedule an appointment for service or your dental appointment. This is one of the first ones that's actually integrated into the phone system. They only announced it a couple of days ago. And what they've said is the reception, meaning the interest from customers, has been unprecedented. They did give us a demo. They said, hey, here's a Word document with Q&A and the way you want to set it up. Basically, like, what's the greeting? What do you want it to do? And basically, you can have it set up and ready to go the same day. Now, we saw a demo. I wouldn't say it was, maybe they slowed down the responses. I think they need to speed it up a little bit. It did pause. Let me check that. And then it answers. I think they could speed that up. But again, they just announced it. They've got pilots going on. The people that have piloted love it. And I don't think there's anybody else that really has done this where they've integrated into the phone system. And again, this is SMB play. It's not really an enterprise play.
Jim, it's interesting to contrast what we talked about with Alexa announcements and this. We're kind of getting to the point where we've talked about this over the past couple of years, that, the tree structured menu where you have to go in and, go through all these things, which frustrates the hell out of you, has been the bane of many people's existence. And now we can just say what we want and the systems figure it out. So it's going to be a big change in the user interface for systems going forward, and I think it's a positive.
But you wonder how many organizations have caused such a behavioral issue with their customers that the customers are going to be slow to react to that. I'll tell you, I spent the last couple of weeks dealing with Xfinity.
Oh God!
It's like their menuing system is
The
so
worst.
painful. It's just awful. So here's a word of wisdom to companies. Be careful what you adopt today. Because you may be alienating your customers in the future towards taking advantage of some technology that could be really interesting for them. So,
You don't want to be an Xfinity call center person, because by the time somebody gets to you, they're really mad because they've gone through all this crap and not to get to them. So, terribly designed system, worst ever.
All right.
Well, look, we covered a lot of ground. I think, Sonnet, Anthropic, the Alexa, the IBM deal, and the Microsoft Majorana chip, quantum chip, all big stories, and also the Ring Central news, which I just blogged about. Look, there's a lot of stuff going on here. I think we're going to keep monitoring and, holding some of these vendors accountable relative to, are they really going to invest? Are they just hyping this? So we'll watch that closely. But this has been Aragon Live here today on the 26th of February, and we will have this recording up on our Aragon YouTube channel. Search Aragon Research YouTube, and give us a like and hit the subscribe, because you can get these podcasts every week. And we have 10 years of these recordings, but we decided to share the wealth. And if you like this and you think you need help with some of these issues, reach out. We can maybe do a quick complimentary call to see what your needs are, because we help clients every single day. Again, this has been Aragon Live today on the 26th. Team, thank you very much. Good analysis. And we will all talk to you next week.